welcome everybody. This is Botany Board. I am Bailey, and today I have a list for you. This is my top 10 most played solo games. So I will try to be very brief. This is a challenge for myself to try to just say one thing that I really like about these games. So to give you a theme about my solo tastes in games to start. So I prefer games under an hour. A lot of times if I'm going to play solo, I like to have a pretty lightweight to medium weight where I can remember the rules and get it to the table quickly and not have to read through the rule book a bunch of times to figure out how to play again. I also enjoy to sometimes have on an audiobook while I'm playing a game. So it needs to be light enough that I feel like I can multitask and watch Harry Potter while I'm also kind of enjoying playing a game. That's kind of my go-to solo. If I want to play something a little bit heavier, I tend to gravitate towards higher player counts to play those. The second thing I really like is I tend to prefer to have a similar rule set in the base game as the solo game. So I don't really like to have an AI that I have to maintain as well. That gets kind of annoying to me. I'd rather just play a cooperative game and maybe run 2 investigators if that's manageable. That way it's just me against the game and the rules are the exact same effectively for the multiplayer as there is the solo. So that gives you a little bit of indication on my tastes of solo games. And then so with that, I'll just go rapid fire. We'll get into these 10 games and I'll try to say one thing that really stands out to me about the game and what makes me keep playing it so much. So here we are, number 10. Number 10 is Awkward Guess. So this game, Clue, was my favorite game as a child. And so Awkward Guess is the successor, non-Hasbro version of Clue, in my opinion, and the closest thing you're going to come to it. And so I just love it for that. And it's so good to play solo. There is a little bit of fiddliness potentially if you just kind of get tired of sorting through the cards, because the way you use an app and it tells you, how much time do you want to spend, and you could try to get better clues or spend less time and get kind of some 1-point clues. And so you kind of want to get different clues all the time and not ask for the same things, but you do have to shuffle them back in this 250 decks, which can get a little fiddly, but it doesn't really bother me. Obviously, it is my number 10 of most played solo games ever. There's tons of scenarios, with little sheets, and you go through and ask clues. The housekeepers will never lie to you, but you can never trust the guests. They might lie. So you have to figure out who murdered Mr. Walton. And you know that he was murdered in the study, which is a little bit different than Clue. But you have to figure out what murder weapon and who did it. And was there an accomplice if you play it on the hard version. So Awkward Guess, if you love Clue, highly recommend to check it out. My number 10. All right, next up. Number 9 is Friday. So Friday is a solo and solo only game. That's why I think it comes to my table so much. It plays in only 25 minutes. You are Robinson Crusoe and you're trying to survive the island. I think it is just so satisfying to try to get your deck thinned out and that puzzle of trying to build it up. So the game plays in 3 different phases. So on the green phase, the cards you're trying to beat on the island, or the encounters you're going to try to have, are a lot easier. But you want to get, your deck starts and it's really terrible. So you have to get rid of all these -1s and some 0s, and you want to get, you have to succeed in a high, certain positive threshold on each round. So the green, you might only have to get a +1, but then by the time you get to round red, you might have to get a +9. And so that's super hard. So it's just really fun. And you feel good. You feel like you yourself as Robinson Crusoe, you're getting better. So anyways, that is Friday. Highly recommend checking it out. My number 9. All right. And number 8. So number 8 is Welcome To. So this is one of the only flip and writes that I actually like. I have learned that about myself over the years. So I have played this one a ton though. I even have some of the packs, and this is what I'd say sticks out to me. It's such a simple game to get out, and yet you can just buy different map packs and it'll give you a slight tweak to the rules, but yet I feel like I'm getting lots of different things, and I can kind of make this more of a lifestyle game. So there's the base, regular, just welcome to your neighborhood, which looks like this. Simple neighborhood, you're going to be going and kind of constructing the neighborhood. You have 3 cards that come out. In the solo version, you're going to pick a number from one of those and then also an icon from one of them. And so let's say you would do like a park and then a 9. So you would put 9 in one of these houses, and then the park symbol, you would mark off one of these, and then so that would get you some more points. So there's lots of different ways to score points along there. And the rules are, they have to be chronological. You also have to put fences in between houses in order to score, kind of, if it's like a subdivision of 2, then it's worth this many points. So it is a very simple but very, very satisfying game. So they have a winter pack that I have. It's holiday time. They have Halloween. They have 4th of July. So this is what I mean. Like, I can just, like, you know, it can just travel with me and adapt as the year goes along. And then the outbreak for when the zombies come. I'm ready, you know. Lifestyle. So with that, Welcome to. Highly recommend. They also have Welcome to the Moon that just came out, which I have not played. And I don't know that I'm going to get it just because of, I don't know. I'm currently content with playing Welcome to. All right. So next up, my number 7 is It's a Wonderful World. And why that is hard for me to say, I do not know exactly, but it is. So the thing that I love about this game is it is so perfect. I love the little puzzliness to figure out, okay, on the game, you are trying to construct an empire and build an engine and get the most points. However, there's always this brain burniness of you need to put stuff in your construction area. So you're wanting to like search for things that are going to be worth a lot of points later. But you also need to search for a lot of cards that are going to produce you a lot of resources up front. But in order to put all those in your construction area, you can't put everything in your construction area. Some of them you're going to have to use as automatic discards to just get a resource so that you can actually start producing as soon as possible. So finding that perfect mix of when you need to be getting your production and your engine built up versus when you need to kind of be like maintaining the oil, let's say, and just working on finding more point cards and making sure your system is going to all work out. So good. It is unfortunately a kind of like beat your best score, and it does have brackets, you know, like if you score 60 points, you're this, but I would prefer maybe a beat the game kind of way, but it is one that is still very satisfying. And they do have some scenarios in the back, so I think they have like 5 or 6 scenarios in the back of the rule book for solo, and this gives you a little scenario of here, please use these cards, and then it has a different set of scoring that would be applicable for those cards. So very good game. Highly recommend. It's a Wonderful World. All right, next we have Final Girl. And I actually have over there. So I backed all in on season 1 and all in on season 2. Because once you've been all in, you just can't not go. But again, this is a solo and solo only game. So that is why I was like, yes, I will buy all the stuff for it, of course. Now, there's a season 3 coming out, and I don't know. I might have enough content after season 2. I might just have to pick and choose. But Final Girl, so brilliant. You are the final girl. You're trying to survive the killer. I have 2 videos on the channel. You can actually check it out. Just the fact that it is so thematic, and the feature film system itself is honestly what I like about it. So let me actually cover the box. So the thought that they put into this to have the feature film box where this is your killer, and all of your killer stuff is in here. And then you go and you can pick and you can mix and match anyone you want. And here's your location board. And I had a couple action cards. Oh, these are for the Convince, a special action card for Maple Lane. And all of this. So it's so simple to get to the table because they conveniently were so thoughtful when they made the game's actual storage that it just makes it so much quicker to actually get to the table. And that is what stands out so much to me. And they even, for instance, like did little things like this. So on the side of the box, you'll see that there's Freddy. So that reminds you of where Freddy is supposed to go. So you'll see Freddy can line up just like so. So thoughtful. And they also, so on the season 2, you also have big boxes. And so they're actually going to have an ability to put it in a one big box and put all the feature films in the box. So just just so excited. But yes, so thematic, just a dice chucker predominantly. So the only thing is if you don't like luck in your games, but that's not what you're going for Final Girl. You're going for a fun thematic experience. You're going to have a good time. You're going to laugh about something for sure. And they made it so thoughtful when they were designing it that it is so easy to get to the table and get played. So highly recommend you checking this out. They are gorgeous. Okay, so next on my list is dun, 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 Horrified. And this is not Horrified American Monsters, this is the base. So I have not played Horrified American Monsters near as much as I've played the base Horrified, because I've had this one for, I want to say 2019 was maybe when it came out. I could be wrong about that, but I've had this one for a while. So it has gotten out to play the most. So this game, why do I love it so much? I think, honestly, it is the fact that it is simple enough, but there's so much variability in that I feel like I can be all the different investigators and then play against a different combination of 3 monsters at all times. And then I've been trying to do 4, which I can never beat 4. I only can beat 3. So if you can beat 4 monsters with 1 investigator, you let me know what you're doing. How are you doing that? I always run out of the deck before it's like time to kill everybody. Yeah, so Horrified, just so brilliant. Again, so this one is simple enough that it allows me to play against the game. I can run 1 investigator, I can run 2. A lot of times I just run 1, which I also like that you can play cooperatively and still only run 1 person and not have to be like acting like you have a split personality and are trying to keep up with these 2 different people. It's nice sometimes just to be yourself. So yes, Horrified, so good. Highly recommend. Just Horrified. All right, and next up we have the Search for Planet X. So this game, completely logic. If you like logic and deduction puzzle that you just want to solve by yourself, this is what you want. So it utilizes an app. You're going to try to search for where Planet X is. So, the asteroid, it's located within like 2 of the asteroids, and the comments are always across from each other. It'll give you certain rules that are applicable for each different scenario. Highly replayable, but yet you have the same rule set each time, but each different type of the rule for the dwarves or where everything is never the same, obviously. So it says it plays 60 to 75 minutes, but I would say whenever you play solo, it actually plays like pretty quickly. I think I can play it within 30 minutes, I would say, because the app, he's very good. He's very good. He solves things like really quickly. Like you have to really go to. I do much better if I'm just going to play like against Wyatt versus trying to play against the app, at least on the expert side. So there's 2 different sides of the board, which is also nice because you can kind of get yourself going with the game. And nice, like you can grow with the game once you get to the big board on the back, which just has 18 spaces instead of 12 or something like that. But Search Planet X, if you like logic, deduction, play this by yourself. Again, it's just as much fun because you're just trying to find Planet X and you're trying to find it the fastest. So you're just against trying to find it before the app versus trying to find it against someone you're playing with in person. So highly recommend the Search for Planet X. And next up, Pandemic, my number 3 most played solo game of all time. Such a good game. I actually only got this game in 2021 as well, and it is skyrocketed up to number 3 of my most played solo games because I love this game so much. Similar to some of the other ones, so it's cooperative. On this one, I usually do run more than 1 investigator, so I usually run 3. I'm like real crazy in the split personality, but I find that they each have different abilities. So I usually like to be the medic because he clears 2 or all the resource cubes. So I always find him really helpful to be. And I believe it's the dispatcher that lets you move somebody else's pawn as if it was yours. I like to be him. And then the other one I like to be is the green one that lets you put out a research station without having to discard a card. I find that really helpful. And then also the scientist. So you only have to have 4 to cure disease. Those are my favorite. That was kind of a random thing to say during this. But a lot of people know what Pandemic is, so that's what I have for you, Gators. Pandemic, great game. Go get it. All right. So number 2. So my number 2 is Castle Panic. So I have a solo playthrough on the channel of this game. I think this game is best solo. I have tried to play it multiplayer and I was like, yeah, don't care. Solo, love it. It's so perfect. It's lightweight enough that you can go and like put on an audiobook or something in the background or watch TV, do whatever, while still kind of like going through the actions and making the decisions. They're like quick and easy enough that you can multitask while doing so. And the fact that the monsters always come out like randomly, it's always going to be different. And when you're rolling the die and where you're putting them and how the deck is shuffled, it just always seems a little bit different enough that I enjoy just playing it whenever I'm just wanting to get out a game. So Castle Panic, highly recommend. All right, and my most played solo game of all time, everybody, is Forbidden Desert. And Forbidden Desert, so this one as well, I typically run more than one. Actually, on this one, you have to run more than one investigator. So you have to have that split personality we talked about. So I typically run, I think I've been doing 3 now. So this is what I love about this game is that they actually give you a difficulty tracker where you can play on different player counts, and then you can set like 4 different, like novice and then normal, expert. So I have tried to win on every player count at every level. So that's where I have just played it nonstop because for some reason I guess I'm a completionist and feel like I need to do that. I guess. Who knows? But Forbidden Desert, so simple to play. It is so satisfying with just like, where are all the ship parts and where is the tunnel, and the sun is beating down on me and it's so hot and I'm getting so thirsty, and am I going to get buried in the sand? Maybe. So very good game. Highly recommend it. Cooperative, just against the game again. So same rule set as if you play with multiplayer people. So those are, everyone, my 10 most played solo games of all time. Let me know down below, what games do you play most solo? And also, more importantly, are there any games I'm missing that if these are my games that I go to solo, what do I need to get in my hands to play solo? So with that, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you next time.